Well, hello there, Dippers, and welcome back to week 14 of the Fantasy 15 podcast. As always, Dippers, I am your host, Drake, joined by the man, the producer, Leighton Pip Chavantone.
This week, Drake, I come to you very much in vain. Took a beating this past weekend. It's my fault completely. Jermaine Bishop right now, or in a few
Let's hear it.
Okay, so
Let's get it off your chest.
I was very confident going into Sunday's game. Very, 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 very confident in everything. Game starts off looking good. Philip Lindsay is having just the game of his life.
Having his way.
Robert Woods had a touchdown, 100 yards, I think. DJ Moore's doing okay. I'm in the money all day long. I'm sitting there thinking, okay, I have Mahomes still. I have Tyreek Hill still. I've already actually new players, David Johnson. And right now I have Philip Lindsay going nuts. I have McCaffrey going nuts. So I'm getting back in the cut like done, son. But then the game starts, and Mahomes starts firing off darts. And I'm thinking, all right, we'll win money here. I don't look at the money. I'm just so confident in this. Like, we're up $100 right now. I go to FanDuel at the end of the day. I'm winning $0.
That's the worst feeling in the world.
So I was pissed off, so mad, I didn't want to look at it at all. And then, last night, or 2 days ago, I'm thinking, okay, I got to figure out how I lost money.
Yeah.
So I'm going into it. I scored 140 in 5 lineups, 150 in 1. Yeah, I just played cash. That should place you in a motherfucking cash game.
Absolutely.
Where the top choice block of 100 win. If you place in 5 of those cash games all for the same, you can't not win money.
Right.
You win money. So I started going through. Here's what I lost. As in, not FanDuel's fault, 100% my fault. Every single lineup above me, 99% had Philip Lindsay. That was chalk. Effectively chalk. A lot of them had Christian McCaffrey, not a ton, but probably 7% have Christian McCaffrey. The one motherfucker who beat
Travis
me
Kelce.
on that day, Mahomes, I had him, he was a chalk. Travis Kelce.
Yep.
Travis fucking Kelce goes ahead and scores 32.8 fantasy points. Every team that beat me, everyone, all 5 of those lineups, so at least 60 teams had Travis Kelce starting. It was my fault, didn't pay up for him. So this makes you think all the way back to, okay, you win league for having the one guy that no one else has.
Oh, absolutely.
No one plays Travis Kelce because no one wants to pay up $700 for a tight end. You pay it for your running backs or wide receivers. And it's my fault, The plays, the chalk plays, Spencer Ware only got 11 points. That didn't matter last week. I love Tom McCoy. He knew that great. That's still a great play. I'll go to my grave saying it's not a great play. So, I don't know. I'm pissed.
No,
but
I agree with you.
Coach played Baltimore.
I agree with you.
This week?
I'm hungry.
No.
I'm hungry.
No.
Had some very, very bad weeks. In consecutive order, too. So, latency, there's only one way to get it right. We have to fire off this week. We cannot be wrong on any of our picks. We've hit the jackpot. I mean, we started Christian McCaffrey on his biggest game of his life. Started Philip Lindsay on the biggest game of his life. Like, we are getting the picks right. It's always the one guy that kills us.
I've been so disgruntled looking at FanDuel money amount when I'm in red zone. Every time the freaking picture changes, my guy is on the screen. I'm like, shit. This could be. I'm winning $600 today. We're gonna win at least 3 of these things.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. In like last week, dude, I was playing every Chiefs player except Travis Kelce. This week, we cannot do that. We have to get every pick right. Latency, producer, bring the noise. Fantasy 15, a sauce on the side production. All right, Latency, I'm fired up. You're fired up. I'm hungry. I want to win some freaking money this week. We have to get it right. We cannot let Travis Kelce beat us this week. Whether it's Travis Kelce, whether it's the other Travis Kelce of this week, let's get him right. Let's get him in our lineups. Let's start off hot and heavy. QB1, who we firing off?
So last week, for the first time all season, we were on Mahomes. Came to this week against Baltimore. However, Philip Rivers is at home against Cincinnati. Cincinnati team's defense is just terrible.
Piss poor.
It might be worse than the football. 32nd overall. Actually, it is worse than football. I lied. 32nd overall, 34th against the pass, 2nd against the rush. Only fear of this game is the Chargers do like to run the ball, so if they're up big late, Philip would not throw a ball 40 times.
Yes, that scares the hell out of me.
That's the fear. Jeff Driscoll isn't going to score on that defense either. I do like Philip Rivers. I will have him, but not much the guy I'm going to tell you about him in a little bit.
I love Phillip Rivers in games that he's going to lose. In games that Phillip Rivers is going to lose, I absolutely am all over Phillip Rivers. This week, Lane C, this is a statement week. $8,100. Aaron Rodgers. Guys, this will be his biggest game of the season. And if it's not, I'll be very, very surprised. I'll backtrack on it next week. I will be super surprised if he does not explode for 30 points. Guys, he got what he wanted. Mike McCarthy is gone. He got what he wanted. This is a guy who maybe had the worst body language in NFL history up to this point this season. Guys, early in the season, we were telling you to play James Conner until you couldn't put him in any more lineups. You know why? The Steelers wanted to prove a point, and every time they got into the red zone, they handed the ball off to James Conner. They let him score touchdowns. They wanted to kind of rub it into Le'Veon Bell's face. What is Aaron Rodgers going to do? He's going to get a lot of red zone opportunities against the Falcons. Do you think he cares about winning this game?
No.
No. He cares about putting up a 400 spot on him. He cares about 4 touchdowns. He cares about all of his stats to sit back at the end of the day and say, hey, I was the smartest guy in the room whenever I said this guy needed to be shit canned. Praise me. Praise me. This guy's all about the praise. He wants those opportunities. Every time they get into the red zone, he will score his way. Leighton C, cheap quarterback. Who do you like?
Well, this week it's not super cheap, but I love him. Last week, my favorite player the entire week of Philip Lindsay at running back scored 28 points. This week, my favorite player at quarterback, 7,700, is Jameis Winston. He's at home against New Orleans. New Orleans has the 30th ranked pass defense and the first rush defense. More importantly, flashback to what? 7 days ago, they were embarrassed on national television by Dallas Cowboys. Drew Brees is pissed off. Elton Kamara is pissed off. Mike Ingram is pissed off. Sean Payton is pissed off. The Saints are going to come out and score a shit ton of points. I mean, Jameis is going to have to pass the ball. Just pray you don't get benched at halftime. Okay, if you don't get benched at halftime, you have 20 points second half, like he always seems to do, and it's going to be a great play.
No, I do like that play a lot. But the play that I'm actually going to go with, 7,900, I will have Jameis Winston in my lineups, just for the simple fact that I'm going to play a ton of Saints, and I'm going to garnish it with a little bit of Jameis Winston, just a little garnish. Okay, Andrew Luck, 7,900. Every single game that this man has played in a dome this season, he has had 20 points. 20 points in every single dome game he has played. 25 points per game in the dome this season. He's had his best game against the Texans. 460 yards, 4 touchdowns. Texans, back-to-back weeks now, okay? In the last 2 weeks, they've given up 700 yards through the air, and that was to Marcus Mariota and Baker Mayfield. So, guys, his floor, 300 yards, 2 touchdowns. I think he's going to get 3, maybe sneak up into 4. Depends on how much the Texans can score with them. And if you look at the Texans and what they are good at, they're good at getting to the quarterback. Well, the Colts just happen to have one of the best offensive lines in football against the pass rush. So I'm very, very big on Jameis Winston this week. I've said it all season. The way to beat the Texans, over the top, through the air. They will figure that out. They were able to pull it off, I guess it would have been at least 10 weeks ago. I think Andrew Luck will have an absolute game. Little get-right week for him. Running back, Leighton C, top dog. Who do you like?
I like a lot of them this week. I like a lot. But my top dog this week is Ezekiel Elliott. $800 against Philadelphia Eagles. 4 weeks ago, he scored 33 points against Philadelphia Eagles. Since then, he scored 29, 22, and 22, with 5 more receptions in each of those games. The Cowboys have figured out a way to win the game. They got to establish the run and pass the ball with a hassle on 3rd down, 2nd and longs. Ezekiel Elliott is 2nd in routes run to only Amari Cooper.
Wow. That is insane.
So, Ezekiel Elliott, lock and load.
Yeah, I'm all in on Zeke. Actually, that is my high-priced option. Guys, he had talked about 4 weeks ago how this guy became the focal point of the offense finally. Like, Jason Garrett was sitting back and he's like, what the hell's going on with my team? You're not giving your best damn player the damn ball. Last 4 games, he's had 23 carries per game and 6 receptions per game. You give Zeke 30 touches in a game, he averages 27 fantasy points, just like he has the previous 4 weeks. Guys, Eagles' last 4 games all allowed 100 yards to opposing running backs on the ground, 6.6 yards per carry. I know it's inflated a little bit by the Adrian Peterson 99-yard touchdown run. Guys, if Adrian Peterson did this to this defense, imagine what Zeke's going to do in a much, much closer game. If the Cowboys want to win, which I feel like this is one of those must-win games that the Cowboys have to have, if they win, I feel like they punch their ticket. They're in the playoffs. All roads will lead to Ezekiel Elliott getting 25 or more carries this week. All in on Zeke. Leighton, cheap running back, where are we going?
Well, this is one of the weeks I don't go super low on any guy.
This is a weird week because we have guys like Melvin Gordon who are,
he might play.
Maybe not.
Jackson guy from Chargers, people like him, I can't play and play with Eckler.
No.
I mean, he got kicked out, but Eckler's a really good football player. So this week, I'm not going to take so many punts because last week they pay off for me. And I can't expense to where he got 13 points, but it just didn't matter. So I'm going to show you Michelle. 6,900. He's playing the Miami Dolphins, who have the 30th ranked rushing defense. He had an injury a few weeks ago. They don't care. 21 carries 2 weeks ago, 17 carries last week. They're going to run the ball because Tom Brady's arm is regressing.
Tom Brady sucks this year.
Like he can't throw the ball down like he used to. They got to establish the run, get second and shorts, third and shorts. Sony Michel is going to work quarterback. Huge game for Sony Michel.
Yeah, I do like Sony Michel. The only thing that scares me, is I could just see him at any point just getting carted off the field because, they don't care that he's hurt. They're just going to continue to run him until he's basically dead. But you said that you were scared to play in some of this real cheap stuff. But, we have a Steelers starting running back at 4,600. Guys, we have Jalen Samuels.
That's what he said about the time split?
No.
Jalen Samuels said there's going to be a time split with him and Steve Ridley.
No, I don't buy into that.
Exact quote. I'll have a package.
I don't buy into that. I don't buy into that at all. Guys, what are they going to do? Are they going to roll out a 30-plus-year-old Stephen Ridley out there? Or are they going to roll out a guy who just last season, playing for NC State, he was a wide receiver, running back, tight end, and a fullback. He is a Swiss Army knife. If you really think that a 35-year-old Stephen Ridley is going to move the ball more efficiently than a guy who all last season, playing in college football, caught the damn ball, be my guest, Mike Tomlin. I think this is going to be one of those things where they roll it out there. They see it with Stephen Ridley. They see it with Jalen Samuels. They see, this guy's much better at catching the ball because that's all he did in college. So I'm big on Jalen Samuels, even if it is a split low. Even if he only does get 10, 15 touches this game, he's still going to pay off. Guys, he came in the last drive for the Steelers, still scored you 10 fantasy points. All he has to do is score. Score one touchdown, and he's going to pay off. On the goal line, do you see Stephen Ridley in there, or do you see Jalen Samuels in there? I expect to see the guy who played part-time fullback getting goal line work for the Steelers. I'm big on Jalen Samuels. I will be playing him. I hope everybody and their brother looks at the fact that he's going to be splitting time and shies away from him because, guys, all he needs is 10 points to pay off. Isn't that kind of a weird thing, though, that he played tight end? He was listed as a tight end.
Where you go to college at?
NC State.
Probably have 2.5 at NC State.
Yeah, no, I don't understand
weird.
that. Yeah, a really, really weird situation there. He was a 228-pound tight end. Latency, running back. Top dogs, where are we leaning?
Well, Jack, we take running backs. But give a top wide receivers for this
We'll
week.
take the wide receivers.
There are 2 guys like a whole lot. Michael Thomas, Keenan Allen. Tom Brady can't tell with that injury. Good Keenan Allen, still love Thomas. But that's what Michael Thomas is. Best receiver on the team. Drew Brees had a whole lot of matters for New Orleans.
Yes.
Last week, Philadelphia had one guy. That's Keenan Allen. 19 targets. 14 receptions. 148 yards. And a very fortunate touchdown. But you take away the touchdown.
But you know what scares the hell out of me?
He still had 20 points on a touchdown.
Yeah, no, that's insane. But if you look at what Keenan Allen does, the Pittsburgh game, they should have lost. It was a close-ass game. The game that he had 10 targets prior to that was the Denver game, which they lost. And then you look, 10 targets prior to that was the Seattle game, which was an 8-point game that came down to the wire.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that scares me.
Yeah, it does get... same thing for I said earlier, might not pass the ball once they get up, but I do think for a wide receiver, Keenan Allen, they'll pass the ball enough for him to definitely hit the value.
Yeah, I do think he will hit value. It just scares me that fourth quarter time you don't even see Keenan Allen out there. My top dog at wide receiver actually going to be OBJ, guys. He's priced at $8,000, which is pretty friendly for an OBJ. Since Washington's Week 4 bye, they have allowed opposing wideouts to score 44 points per game, and that even includes OBJ exploding for 8 catches, 136 yards. Didn't have any touchdowns in that game, but I'm kind of leery just looking at his limited catches over the past 3 weeks. But if there's going to be a time to roll OBJ out there, it's going to be now, where they have the potential to, play the spoiler a little bit, kind of get out from bottom of the NFC East and kind of make their way up on the Redskins. There's a little bit of a pride factor that goes there. You don't want to finish dead last in back-to-back seasons, and I think that their offense will run a lot through the air to OBJ, and the Redskins have been absolutely atrocious against the pass. But like you said, Leighton, there's a lot to love, man. I'm huge on Davante Adams. I think Davante Adams could possibly have his best game of the season, which is saying a lot for a guy who's averaging 18 points per game. Very, very interesting week. Cheap wide receivers. Where are you leaning?
With a guy with Cortland Sutton, 6,600, facing Philadelphia 49ers, who just got diced up last week for 4 passing touchdowns. Granted, again, was at Seattle, and yes, Russell Wilson is better than Case Keenum. Either Case Keenum did make Pat Sherman what he was. But each of the past 4 games, Wilson has at least 5 targets for 50 yards or more. And last week, he had 85 yards and a touchdown. Emmanuel Sanders died this week.
Yes, and that was weird.
In football terms, he just kind of, sort of killed in practice, off for injury. Gave for FanDuel, Cortland Sutton, 6,600. Yes, I was just showing him get up 1 touchdown all season long, but he did not shadow. Hopefully, Van Joseph is smart enough to say, let's get our best receiver on the other side of the field so we can get him open, get some points on the board.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do like Sutton there a lot. I think he's in a really good spot. I think this is going to be the last time that you're going to be able to get him at that price now that he's kind of elevated all the way from wide receiver 3 to 1 in just a matter of weeks. My cheap wide receiver option, Dante Pettis. Guys, he's 5,500. Every single time this guy has a catch this season, he's had over 35 yards except for 1 time. And, he's extremely talented. He's a rookie out of Washington. He was a phenomenal player there, where, a lot of people really recognize him as a punt and kick returner because he is great in space. What's the one thing about Kyle Shanahan's offense? He gets his playmakers in space. I don't care if Marquise Goodwin and Pierre Garçon are healthy this week. I think that Kyle Shanahan's kind of doing just a tryout right now, just seeing what he's going to roll out with for the remainder for next season. And Dante Pettis is the future of this wide receiver core. He has huge big play potential. Guys, 43 fantasy points in his last 3 games, and most of those came in 2 games. And in fact, no, it's actually his last 2 games. 43 fantasy points, so I don't know why his price hasn't moved at all. And you look at a Broncos defense, I think the Broncos are going to kill the 49ers, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to give up a few big plays. I mean, we saw a huge stat line from Sam Darnold because they just got beat over the top every time. And you tell me that Chris Harris isn't going to, Chris Harris being absent this game, being done for the season, isn't going to factor into that, especially with Dante Pettis getting a lot of snaps from the slot. I'm all in on him. I think he's going to have a phenomenal week. 5,500. Dante Pettis, he's a must play in at least one of your lineups. Tight end, Leighton. See, we do it a little different. We just talk about the options we love. Who do we love?
Well, this week, Travis Kelce played Baltimore Ravens. Not going with him again. He'll play the fire once more. Go back to Eric Ebron. Last week, he had 10 points against Jacksonville. However, he did have negative 7 rushing yards and a fumble, so he set more points than that.
16 targets.
16 targets. Told you last week, he had 95% of routes on the play that he's in. Now, he has 96.
Wow.
They're throwing him the football.
Yes.
A lot. 6,400. I love Eric Ebron. Lock button. Eric Ebron.
Yeah, I think locking Eric Ebron, if there's one tight end that you're just going to play across the board, it has to be Eric Ebron. Guys, 16 targets last week. First time since Jack Doyle's actually been ruled out for the whole season. And this is going to be a get-right game. He was a chalk of all chalks last week, and he kind of flopped even though he had 16 targets. He only had 10 points. But you look at this Texans defense, they've given up 3 100-yard games to tight ends and averaging 92 receiving yards to tight ends over the last 4 weeks. Eric Ebron, Lock Button, Loving. Guy I'm going to sprinkle in there a little bit, though. Guys, anytime I get Rob Gronkowski under 7,000, I'm playing him. He's off the injury designation. He's no longer there. And, anytime he's there, I'm going to hammer him. Doesn't matter who he's playing. Like, Rob Gronkowski will have a Rob Gronkowski at some point in the season. I want to be on it. I want to be on the good side, looking out at everybody else who thought Rob Gronkowski was done. The guy's a machine. He will have a big game down this stretch, and I want to be on it. So Leighton C, defense is where we leaning.
Lock button number 2 of the week, New York Giants. 3,500 playing Washington Redskins.
Yeah, Price didn't have time. They didn't have a
importantly,
chance to
they're
change
playing
that price.
Mark Sanchez. This defense has 7 turnovers in the past 3 games. Drake, I'm going to challenge you to get me off this defense. Just one time.
Dude, I don't know if I can. 3,500 is an absolute steal. Just look at what they did against Chase Daniel last week, dude.
Yeah, and Mark Sanchez wasn't Chase Daniel. The only other option...
Yeah, and dude, last week, both guards got hurt. And you know what? Those were their backup guards.
Yeah, and the only other option, also, in my opinion, all the Chargers playing Cincinnati, but they're $1,100 more.
Yeah, no.
I can't not play this defense.
No, I do really, really like that defense. The only one that I will give you other than that, because I think that is the steal of all steals, the lock of all locks. I mean, guys, they have had double-digit fantasy points in the last 2 of the last 3 weeks. And even if you take away the touchdown that they had last week, they still had 11 fantasy points. So Mark Sanchez, he got kicked out of the door because of Chase Daniel. So now they're playing a worse quarterback than what they played the week prior. I do love that. The only other one I'm going to give you is Denver. They're the highest priced option. So try to stay away from that. But if you're not going to play the Giants, and you have the extra money to go up, you want to have some variation in your lineups. San Francisco's given up 7 sacks the last 2 games. That was to Tampa Bay and Seattle, 2 teams that do not rush the passer, as well as Von Miller, obviously. And they've scored 22 fantasy points as a defense in the last 2. And the Broncos are coming in hot. Guys, over the last 4 weeks, they've averaged 3 sacks a game, 1 interception, 1 fumble recovery per game over the last 4. I really, really do like the Denver defense here. So, Leighton, big money flops. Where are guys at the top of the list that we see flopping all over the place?
Okay, well, so some of the guys I don't love this week, I said about Melvin Gordon. Go with the injury of him. How much that they're willing to use him in a game they should be winning already kind of worries me. And then there's a guy like Tyreek Hill. Baltimore had a really good defense. Tyreek Hill didn't do great last week. How they're effectively going to get him the ball this week going in. And Odell Beckham Jr., Washington's defense isn't that bad. I think that game is going to be really ugly by nature.
Yeah, obviously you have to keep an eye on Melvin Gordon going into this week. A big flop that I see, though, is going to be Patrick Mahomes. I mean, obviously playing Baltimore, I think this is going to be one of those games that he struggles, which is a huge rarity for this guy. Cam Newton, he's another guy that I'm really not sure about this week. I know he's playing Cleveland, who isn't that good of a defense, but he's already came out and said this week that he's having pain in his throwing shoulder. And for a guy who's already not that accurate of a passer, and it hampers him in the run game. If he knows he's a little banged up, he may not be, open it up really to try to get any yards on the ground. He's going to try to just primarily stay in the pocket and kind of take it easy. Obviously, like what he says, it's a business decision. Saquon Barkley, I mean, he's almost a lock for 20 points each week, but I could see him struggling against the Washington Redskins. Basically, they're a funnel defense at this point. They're pretty decent against the run, but through the air, they're absolutely abysmal. I will not touch Melvin Gordon at all.
I'm going to take back my OBJ thing. Just hit me. They're playing Josh Norman. He hates Josh Norman. He should be all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
OBJ's going to do good. I'm fine. I'm going to change that to Nick Chubb, playing Carolina. He's going to get a lot of carries still, but don't love the price, don't love the matchup. So, OBJ good, Nick Chubb bad.
Yeah, I absolutely love OBJ this week. I mean, it's one of those games that he comes out with something to prove. A guy I'm going to stay away from, though, I mean, obviously, like, you look at a game where it has potential to shoot out with Atlanta and Green Bay. Guys, Julio Jones is legitimately hurt. Like, Julio Jones does not have a 2.8 fantasy game unless he is legitimately hurt, like he was last week. Tyreek Hill, I don't think that he's going to have the time to run down the field and get open. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to be under duress a lot this week, so I'm definitely going to stay away from that. And like we said with the tight ends, I'm really not that big on Travis Kelce, and I'm definitely not that big on Zach Ertz. I mean, I know that he had an absolute showing against Dallas 4 weeks ago. He went off for 145 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns. I don't think that's going to be the case this time around, all the hype surrounding the Dallas defense and how great they've been playing. I just, that's one of those gut picks. Where a guy, lightning doesn't strike twice. And I just think that Zach Ertz has had his big game against this defense, and it's not going to happen again. They're going to come out, say, this is going to be our focus point. If we can stop him, we can stop the rest of the offense, and that's really going to be the focal point there. So latency, meet stud alert. Guys that are quarterback positions going over 30, running backs going over 20, and wide receivers, tight ends going over 20.
Chris McCaffrey playing Cleveland. Got a great game. Antonio Brown must win. Sandy Jesus Smith must win game. I think Pittsburgh to be all over the place. Big Ben, another guy who I do like to have a huge game. Amari Cooper, he's good. Good in Dallas. Exact same player, but he's getting way more targets. Somehow Dak is better than Dick. All of a sudden, can't explain that one to you. And then I don't hate Mark Ingram. He's 6,600. He's in a time show with Kamara, not good as Kamara, but he's playing in Tampa Bay. It's just a passing game, and that price tag 6,600 makes it kind of intriguing.
Yeah, I'm going to be all over Pittsburgh players. I think Pittsburgh is going to have an offensive explosion, and with that offensive explosion, the guy who's going to run the clock out will be Samuels. So look at that and try to think through the game. Stephen Ridley may have early success, maybe through the air once or twice, but just try to think yourself through the game. Fourth quarter, game's going to be out of reach. They're going to run Samuel's legs into the ground. But meet stud alert. I have 2 quarterbacks right here. Obviously Rodgers, and I think Andrew Luck has the potential to flirt with 30. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be the only quarterback to get over 30, but I think Andrew Luck's going to come pretty damn close. And at the running back position, I feel like Christian McCaffrey at this point is almost a lock for 20 points every time he steps on the field. Ezekiel Elliott, like I said earlier, I think he's going to have a phenomenal week. Don't be scared to play Patrick Lindsey. I think Patrick Lindsey does have opportunity to go over 20 again. I think he's going to get a lot of carries. They're going to have to find more ways to get the ball down the field, kind of get ball into space. And Patrick Lindsey is going to be a good option for that because we have to look at it. Emmanuel Sanders is no longer there. They're going to have to find ways to be more creative with the offense. And there's not a guy in the NFL that's more of a Swiss Army knife right now than Patrick Lindsey. He's had phenomenal numbers, averaging 6 yards per touch. So I'm all over that. And then I think that there's 2 tight ends that have potential to go over 20, and that's Gronk, that's Ebron. Both of them are priced very, very well. And at the wide receiver position, obviously, Devontae Adams, OBJ, all over them. I think they're going to have the best weeks. So, guys, it is time for the meat stud lineup of the week. All right, guys, I'm going to get ballsy here, okay? This is the first time I'm ever going to play 2 tight ends. I've never done it before in FanDuel history, but I legitimately think that 2 tight ends in this lineup is the best way to play it because everything else I absolutely love, but we're getting Rob Gronkowski at the same price that you're going to be getting guys like DJ Moore, Jared Cook, Larry Fitzgerald, Tevin Coleman. Like, you run down the list, Rob Gronkowski, he has to have that get-right game. So I had to play 2 tight ends in this one. Starting off hot, Aaron Rodgers, quarterback. Guys, this is the FU to big Mike McCarthy. That's all this game is going to be. He's going to have a picture of Mike McCarthy in his locker room just to spit on it whenever he runs out onto the field. Running back position. Absolutely love Ezekiel Elliott. Obviously, he's a ton of volume. Going to get a lot of volume this week. Going to flirt with 30 touches. You have to be all in it. And then second, RB2, Jalen Samuels. Guys, even if Stephen Ridley is involved, down the stretch, it's going to be the Jalen Samuels show. Second half, that game's going to be out of reach. They're just going to run the ball down their throats, keep it out of Big Ben's hands. Last week, we saw the offense kind of develop to more of a, hey, Big Ben, you kill us more than you hurt us, so we're going to try to keep the ball out of your hands until we have to have you uncork the deep ball. Then Devontae Adams at wide receiver. I absolutely love it. I know he's expensive, but it's going to be worth it. He's playing Atlanta, an absolutely garbage secondary with no safeties. They have zero safeties. I think Devontae Adams is going to have a monster week, especially if I love Aaron Rodgers. Second wide receiver, OBJ, 8,000, playing the Josh Norman revenge game. These guys get after it every single game. He got held without a touchdown last week. He will not do that twice against Josh Norman. He will put one tutter on his head. And my final wide receiver here, I'm going with the guy Leighton was talking about earlier, Courtland Sutton. You have to love Courtland Sutton in this position. Guys, he's averaging 7.3 fantasy points this season. Not great. But we're looking at a guy who is a wide receiver 3 on the Broncos depth chart who is now the number 1 guy. So he's going to get volume. I expect him to get over 10 targets for the first time he's had in his entire career. I think he's going to be a lock and load. 5,600, guys. The price is right for him. And then at tight end. My tight end and my flex are both guys that are tight end position. Eric Ebron, you have to lock him in. Guys, this defense has given up 92 yards through the air to opposing tight ends over the last 4 weeks. If Eric Ebron gets that in one touchdown, he hits value. And then I'm going with Rob Gronkowski. Gut pick. Guys, it is still Rob Gronkowski. He is 6,200. We have to be on the big game where he goes off, stiff arms like 8 dudes, runs one to the house, and then catches another one with 6 guys around him, gets him a 2-score game. And then obviously defense. Leighton was all about it earlier. 3,500. Guys, this Giants defense is the play of the week. Obviously, their price didn't fluctuate because now Sanchez is starting because Colt McCoy got hurt on Monday. So I absolutely love this lineup, guys. Play this lineup multiple times for me. I'm all about it. So Leighton C. Anything else before we wrap this show up?
This is something else I realized last week when looking through how I lost. Like Philip Lindsay, everybody had him. Not because everybody had him, but McCaffrey, everybody had him. Chalk isn't cool, but chalk is safe. Like, you would rather be on the good side than the bad side of something. If you have a guy who goes for 30 points, but let's say 100% people in the league have him, well, you'd rather not have that guy.
You couldn't win money last week if you didn't play Travis Kelce.
Yeah, no, there's no way you could.
Start your lineup with the chalk.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you like chalk guys, play the chalk guy. Don't try to get cute with it and go, okay, well, he'll be on by 85% of guys. I think this guy's scoring comparable and he's way cheaper. No. If you're confident he's going to score these 20 or 30 points, play that guy because you'd rather be in the good than outside looking in and saying, oh, well, the guy got me 2 points instead of 30 points.
And you know, 2 games that I've mentioned this week that kind of just lead me to the 2 tight end strategy this week is the fact that I had talked about how you'd talked about how Travis Kelce went north of 30 just last week, and then I talked about the big Zach Ertz game where he went north of 30. Like, guys, tight ends are no longer tight ends. Tight ends are wide receivers in the NFL.
And they catch touchdowns.
Yes.
A lot of touchdowns.
A ton of touchdowns. So I'm not scared of it, guys. We're playing 2 legitimately, like, they are legitimate wide receivers on their team, and they're freaking priced below 6,500 because they're tight ends. So I think I'm going to flip it up, play that strategy this week, see how it pans out for me, especially whenever I have 2 options I absolutely love. And like Leighton C. said, guys, don't be scared to play in the chalk. You play in the chalk, you get all these expensive guys, then you flat back with Jalen Samuels, who's cheap. He's as cheap as you can get. So if there's a week that you play a ton of chalk, this is it.
Yeah.
Play the chalk everywhere. Throw in a Jalen Samuels. Throw in a Jackson if Melvin Gordon's out. Like, don't be scared of it because they're the chalk for a reason.
Yeah, chalk's good, then you're good. Chalk's bad, you're bad.
Everybody else. No, I agree.
You don't gotta be the smartest guy in the minute all the time to win FanDuel. You just gotta be the smartest.
Yes, I agree. So anything else, Leighton C?
No, that's it. FanDuel, think about it now, needs to fix the tight end pricing because Kelce should be, like $9,000 almost. But, other than that, I think we're good.
Yeah. And on that note, for Drake, for Leighton C., as always, Dippers, stay saucy.